Tuesday, the 11th of August. All right, so yesterday, we spoke when price was sort of trading up here in this sort of chop around value highs. And we talked about the possibility that we trade back into value here and then get an underside retest and trade lower. And that's what materialized yesterday. So we'll come and look at yesterday's setup in a moment. I think, obviously having failed at value highs now, the probability that we trade back into 61k is quite high. But there isn't necessarily a particularly high probability setup to take us there now. I think that was yesterday, right? The rejection of 65k was the ideal opportunity to get into a short, right? So we've kind of traded into the point of control here. We really need to hold this if we're going to have any chance of trading higher. But I think, given that we've obviously seen this failure, as I say, the probability that we go lower is higher at this point. So the rolling VWAP compression, which looked bullish while we were trading above the 7 and 30 days, now certainly looks less bullish. And we have a selling imbalance from yesterday that may provide an opportunity for a short, but as I say, it's not sort of a particularly great setup. It's a B setup, right? So if you're going to trade it, you probably want to be using less risk than you usually would. So we do have previous week's VWAP. I think previous days is lining up here roughly as well. Yeah. So previous day's VWAP around 64,400. This area I talked about as being important for bulls to defend, right? Yesterday, now looks like it's going to be important for bears to defend. So previous day's VWAP, previous week's VWAP lining up around the mid 64s. This kind of region is where I would expect sellers to step in if we're going to come and retest a little bit higher. We do have a little bit of passive demand here. So, I think the probability we trade into this area is very high. And then, as I say, there's possibly a short here, but it's not sort of a super high probability entry. Initially, we can look for that rotation through the 5-week composite down to 63k, and then obviously if that breaks and we get that sort of clear breakdown below this 5 weeks of value, then we're most likely going to at least 61. Just completing that rotation through this value and just remaining rotational in this area for now. I said on the weekend that the POC is kind of, bullish in validation. That definitely remains the case. There is still a possibility we trade up from here. I don't think it's very high. And actually, I would just wait, right? If we're going to trade higher, you may as well wait and see if we get a clean break of 65k. Right, we haven't been able to find any acceptance above this level so far, right? So we've had multiple tests of this level so far. If we can break that 65k, then we're going to trade up. So the short is like a B setup at best. Personally, I'm not even going to bother taking it. I just don't see the point in taking B setups really. I'd rather just wait for something better. So if we can flip the 5-week high, then I'd happily take longs towards, who knows. At that point, we could trade significantly higher, but at least these highs, maybe the 69k POC, we'll see. At that point, the bullish plans, are definitely back in play, and this Monday move is just a bit of a flush and a bit of a trap, which could definitely be the case. So, keeping a bit of an open mind, not really willing to trade in the middle of value like this personally. Just don't see the point. We're kind of in the final throes of bear market, low volatility chop. Just preserve your money right at this point, and look for the better setups as and when they may come. Sol that we talked about yesterday, right? It's just failing at that 4 days of value, so that's no good. And at this point, you got to get out really. I think there's a possibility it trades up again, but this is not looking good. There's no momentum at the very least, so chop. If we get back below this kind of high volume node, it's probably bearish, right? And then we're probably going to trade a lot lower. So wait and see on that one. But yeah, no reason to be in that long anymore. Doge still looks okay for a pop, I think. Just rounding out back above the 7-day, we've seen a bit of compression. I'd like to see the 30 and 7-day a little bit closer together. But if we can get that flip of that value low, then I would potentially look for a long on that, but that might be a few days away still. Hype just chopping in old value, so we're just back in this 4-day composite for now. Don't really see a reason to trade it, other than fading the extremes of this range for the time being. There's not really much to say on hype. Obviously, we do have value developing here, so I think we can drag this over and just start to build out this range. So yeah, anything above 56 is probably a decent short. I think it's going to go lower. So maybe a look for another short on hype somewhere around previous week's value high, monthly value high kind of area. If we take out yesterday's high, definitely something to watch anyway. Because I think, as I say, that's still likely to go lower, may still offer a good short. ETH failed at those value highs, might still be a good short around previous week's VWAP. Don't really love that this is a big double distribution, might point to more chop in this area, filling this value out before it goes anywhere. So maybe nothing to do on that for the time being. ZEC looked like a good short yesterday, just had a quick look this morning. High volume move, nice spike, nice excess, taking out this high, filling out this imbalance. That was a good short. Just been down only ever since. So that was probably the best short. That was actually on Sunday morning that came. That's one of the better trades setups that's materialized over the past couple of days. Everything else is kind of pretty dead, isn't it? Is anything really moving? I'm not sure that it is. Let's just see. Here. I don't even care about this coin. I've never looked at it before. What's this? Yeah, WLD, don't really care. Pengu, okay. Pengu, I mean, it's broken out of value, isn't it? Let's take a look at that. Whoops. Pengu. Bullish retest so far. So yesterday we just came back into previous week's value high, testing this gap, got a bit of a bounce. I mean, that's the bullish line in the sand, isn't it? The 4-week value high here, or this composite value high. So I wouldn't, not expecting life-changing pump from this coin, but it's bullish against this composite. So if we can hold that, we could trade a bit higher, maybe back into this value high up here. If it can hold above here and continue to compress, maybe we can see it move higher. But just don't think we're in that kind of stage of the market right now where you're going to see a lot of willing speculation on meme coins. Do I have anything else to say? Not really. Let's look at TradFi. I mean, we're all also just pre-CPI, which I think is important, right? Because the market is considering whether it should be pricing in a hike in September. This 29,800 is key resistance, isn't it? So is this just a dead cat bounce into resistance before this goes lower again? It's kind of hard to be bearish Nasdaq given the way it bounces, but we are at high time frame resistance, so not too sure on that. And the S&P, it's just weird to see it trade up, lose momentum, and then just go higher again. Is this going to be some kind of failed auction? Maybe, but I'm not going to bet on that until it it's very clear. So curious one. What else is there? Memory stocks. Side pulling back a bit today. That's fine. Can do that. I mean, the easy setups have been and gone on these things for now. don't have much to say on these stocks at the moment, so I will probably leave the stream there for now, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Cheers.